Fantastic. Hey, well, for those I don't know, I'm Dr. Greg Buchert. I'm the CEO for Makani Science, and we're on a path to develop the world's first continuous respiration monitor that can be used for all ages at all times, including for ambulatory patients. So problem we're oops, the problem we're addressing is the fact that current respiratory monitoring has a lot of challenges, and we know that breathing is essential for life, and that you're not breathing, you're going to die, plain and simple. But abnormalities in respiratory rate are one of the earliest predictors of severe compromise, not just for respiratory conditions, but other things like sepsis. And as the Joint Commission pointed out several years ago, that respiratory rate remains the most inaccurately measured and recorded vital sign. So what we've done at Makani Science is we've developed this very unique, stretchable electronic sensor that can detect distension down to 50 microns. So that's less than the width of a hair. And we've taken that sensor, we've incorporated it into a monitor that's easy to apply, comfortable to wear, and most importantly, on the right-hand side, is that it generates a continuous real-time waveform, and we capture that data in the cloud. And so by capturing these large data sets, it gives us the opportunity to predict, prevent, and intervene in the event of some type of respiratory situation. And the other thing that's great about this is because it's so small, it can be used in neonates, including down to premature babies. So the sensor will detect the rate, volume, and waveform comparable to the gold standard of spirometry, and it can be used on all ages. And unlike almost anything else in the market, there's no motion artifact. We'll be incorporating several of these sensors into our monitor that would have about a 2-week battery life, have incorporated other features such as commercially available EKG and pulse oximeter to really provide that comprehensive view of somebody's respiratory status. We've enjoyed the fact that we've in several peer-reviewed publications. We have 9 patents that are licensed and another one about to be applied for. And we're currently collaborating with Chalk Children's Hospital for a study in the NICU. So the first market we're going after is the pediatric market. And you may wonder why, but it gives us the chance to have an expedited FDA pathway, and it's where there's the largest crying need in the NICU and prematurity market. It's a huge opportunity, and we'll be able to use our device for older children, and also be able to address sleep disorders. And there's a number of disorders that are unique to childhood that we don't see in adults. And so as I look at a couple of case studies, is apnea of prematurity, where 100% of babies less than 28 weeks gestation have this periodic breathing where they just stop breathing. And fortunately, most don't die from it. But the importance of this is that the more frequent these episodes occur and the longer they last, they're directly correlated with compromises later in life of intellectual, motor, and language impairments. 70% of these events are missed by the healthcare professionals that are in the nursery, and it leads to about close to 6 more days in the NICU. And so by being able to detect these, and hopefully with machine learning, be able to predict and intervene before these even occur, we think we make a difference in many, many premature babies' lives. Moving on to asthma, 7 to 9% of children have asthma, and this is one where health disparities play a great role. We know that about 1/3 of the kids with asthma have sleep disordered breathing, and as you look at the asthma market as a whole, it's $82 billion spent for both medical and indirect costs for all patients of all ages in the United States alone. And so by being able to understand asthma, by having a monitor that can monitor them continuously and provide real-time information, we believe we can make a real difference. Now, we're not going to stay just with children. It's obviously easier to grow the size of a device instead of shrinking it. And so we'll be tackling both the asthma and COPD markets in adults and the very large sleep disorder market. So what's the value to the users? It really comes down to a couple things. We are improving lives, improving care, and improving the health of the individuals that will be wearing our monitors. Our business model is that we have multiple revenue streams. We have the disposable sensors. We'll have a one-time app subscription for providers, pharma companies, research entities, and eventually we'll be selling de-identified data to help individuals understand these diseases better. We'll be focusing on hospitals and physicians. And I'm really happy to say that my background is not only as a physician, but as a payer, that CPT codes, HCPCS codes, and DRG codes will already cover our monitors. Our go-to-market strategy is that we'll be using our MVP product in hospitals and research institutions to refine this predicate device and engage in the research that will show the difference that we'll be able to make. Then we'll be targeting the NICUs and the pediatric markets, and eventually move to all ages, but also looking at not only just disease categories, but wellness categories. And often, once we have the medical justification in the background, we'll entertain having a direct consumer opportunity. When you look at our competitors, there's a couple things where we really stand out. One is that we're able to be using our monitor on ambulatory patients, unlike almost anything else that's out there. We have this data that'll have a robust data set with great analytics, and we can use our device on all ages. We've got a team that can pull this off. I've started multiple companies. That my chief technology officer is one of the few people in the world that understands and knows this technology. And we are judicious in our use of funds, and we're only using contractors that have had at least 20 years experience in the medical device market. Our board of directors is great in that they've got the skill set and the experience to build and run a fantastic company and a successful company. And our board of advisors consists of clinicians that are in the areas where we'll be launching our devices. And as I've mentioned, that we will have we're developing our AI roadmap with the help of a true AI professional. We are currently in review from the FDA. We anticipate our clearance probably at the beginning of the second quarter of this year, and then starting our pediatric trials at the end of the year. Eventually moving into the sales of devices near the end of 27 and the sales of adult devices the following year. What this means for investors is that we are addressing a huge market where globally it's more than $100 billion for respiratory monitoring. And we think our addressable market is in the $1.5 billion range, and are confident we can reach about $49 million as a one-year SOM by 2030. Now, there's a lot of strategics in this area, and what happens is Makani sits right in the middle of them. And so we've got the opportunity to either enable their current products or become a product in their portfolio. So there's frequent opportunities for a sizable exit. And in the past, the exits have been quite sizable in the $200 to $600 million range. To date, we've raised a little over $2 million, with about a third of it coming from founders and executives. And we anticipate that we'll be able to exit sometime after we launch our adult device, and are looking probably in the $300 to $600 million range. We're currently raising $1 million with a $6 million valuation cap, with a convertible note and terms that are attractive to investors, including warrants for an increasing amounts depending on the level of investment. And so with that, I urge you to join me on this journey to help people breathe better with the development of this continuous respiration monitor. Thank you very much.
Really nice job. Thank you so much, Greg. Anybody else? Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, Greg, Vince here. You covered every single point in your good presentation. One technical question. Why large data? How are you going to maintain, and why cloud?
We will be maintaining it in the cloud, and we've been evaluating the various cloud options to maintain it. The big thing is that, as I mentioned, we're developing our AI roadmap right now with somebody extremely experienced and folks right now to make sure that we're collecting all the data that's the data that we will need to analyze later on.
Let me repeat my question. Why do you need an extensive amount of data, and why do you need cloud?
The reason we need the data is to, we're focused on this whole predictive aspect. Take something like apnea of prematurity. We know when it happens where people stop, or these babies stop breathing. But if and we know that, like I say, the frequency and volume have severe consequences. If we're able to detect wave patterns that are going to be predicting when these events happen, we can use things such as a stimulating device to prevent these activities from happening in the first place and potentially eliminate certain diseases. And for things like asthma, COPD, if we can detect deterioration before somebody is, has their challenges in breathing, going to the emergency department, where they know that they need to use their rescue inhaler sooner. That's why we want to be able to collect the data and be able to predict deterioration before it happens.
Thank you.
I have a comment. Say, for example, if I use my adult niece as an example who has asthma, so in those type of people, what are they really going to wear these devices, or are you targeting more of a severe asthma adult population?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And we're absolutely going to be targeting that top 5 to 10% of people who have a lot of challenges, depending on what their situation is, whether they're athletes, whether they live in areas with, bad air quality, or have frequent emergency department visits. I think as this becomes more common, think about the continuous glucose monitors. I think that we'll find more and more people using them if there are people that end up having the challenges as far as controlling their asthma.
Okay.
Greg, quickly, tell me a little about the IP sort of picture. These kind of sensors, a lot of people doing these kind of sensors. Is your IP built around the stretchability of the sensor? Have you done a freedom to operate search? Where are you with that one?
Yeah, we've done a freedom to operate search, and the patents are all around the device itself. It's the stretch sensor, it's the electronic sensor, it's how the electronic sensor is connected to the circuit board. It's associated with the adhesive that's used for the sensors. And so that's where we're focused.
Okay, so but you're pretty clear on the FTO, and because ResMed probably owns like 60,000 patents in that space, right? Who knows?
Yes, so yeah, in fact, we've talked to some of the ResMed people that are making a sensor, and when they saw what we're doing, like, oh crap, this is really bad.
Okay. All right, thanks.